The message that they've been putting out there to you, the electorate, to help you make a choice as to who to give your mandate to for the next 4 years. The president wrapped up his campaigning activities in the eastern region yesterday. Today he's begun his tour of the Greater Accra region. John Dramani Mahama, candidate of the NDC, still in the Upper East region. Yesterday he addressed a couple of mini rallies in that part of the country. But let's begin with what the president said while wrapping up his tour of the eastern region. We'll do that as well. We'll do that for the candidate of the NDC, that is John Dramani Mahama. So before we come in studio, I'll introduce my guest and we will look at the movement, we'll track the movements of the candidates. Are there similarities? Are there any differences? What does this even tell us about the campaign plan and the messaging and what these candidates seek to put out there in pursuit of your mandate? So let's begin with what the president said, wrapping up his campaign in the eastern region, his home region, of course, yesterday.
Wrapping up his 2-day tour of the eastern region, which began on Sunday, President Akufo-Addo says Ghana's developmental agenda cannot be disrupted. The tour took the president to the Etiwa East and West constituencies, Fantiakwa, Ebuakwa North, Ekuapem South, Esujaman, and the Lower Manya constituencies. And Akufo-Addo says the many promises he made to Ghanaians, including the people of the eastern region, in the run-up to the 2016 election, have been fulfilled in the last 4 years. The president is therefore appealing to Ghanaians to give him another 4 years to continue with the developmental agenda. He says the MPP is the only political party in Ghana with a blueprint to Ghana's development.
All the negative propaganda, MPP, we don't like crop people. Look at what is happening in Upper Manya since we won Upper Manya constituency. Look at what is happening, backwardness and false claims. I came here to ask you one question. You have seen my work for the last 4 years. You have seen my work. If the work is satisfactory, if you find the work has been satisfactory, what I'm asking you here, Manya Krobo, to do, give me the opportunity to continue to do my work.
Minister of Roads and Highways, Kwesi Amoakwata, who is traveling with the president, says the eastern region has had its fair share of road construction.
MPP Nkwana Eba Power Yenyanfaswo, MPP Nkwana Eba Power Yenyanfaswo, and politics, power, and any development. Politics, power, and you promote the welfare and the well-being of the people.
So Minister for Roads and Highways, Kwesi Amoakwata, and then that report by Samuel Afe, who's on the show, will be speaking to him a bit later on the activities of the president so far. But candidate Mahama, former President John Dramani Mahama, flag bearer of the NDC, has also been touring the Upper East region. He's still there. Yesterday was day one of that tour. Let's listen to watch what he's also been saying on the trail.
John Mahama, on day 2 of his campaign tour of the Upper East region, paid a courtesy call on some traditional leaders in the Boku community. Flanked by numerous party sympathizers on motorcycles, he moved to address a mini rally in Boku. Wild scenes of jubilation were seen amongst the crowd. John Mahama assured the people of his government's resolve to complete all abandoned projects, particularly roads in Boku when the NDC emerges victorious in the upcoming election. Describing the current state of dams constructed by the incumbent government as dark ponds, he promised a more viable irrigation system that will withstand all seasons.
When we were in office, we were building the Tamni irrigation dam. We didn't finish before we left office. After we left, that project has come to a standstill. And that project was supposed to irrigate 3,000 hectares of land for dry season irrigation farming. Instead, they went and started again one village, one pond. Those little duck ponds that ducks swim in, they call dams. Those dams have been a complete waste of government resources. What our people are looking for is viable dams that can provide water throughout the year so that they can engage in dry season irrigation, farming, and gardening.
Some party executives who welcomed the former president within the Upper East region say the NDC has done a lot more work to secure victory in the polls.
you've seen clearly how the entourage, they've received His Excellency, the former President John Dramani Mahama, into the Boko Central. And so it's clear, absolutely, that the grounds are very fatal. People have understood that they have really made a mistake. We've committed a mistake by voting for the super incompetent president, the Nana Addo government, and therefore we are ready to make the corrections.
Party sympathizers who could not hold back their excitement upon seeing John Mahama shared with Citi News their hope in the leader of the NDC to transform Ghana's economy when given the nod.
Corruption is the way of life of the federal government. If you are a youth and you are a Ghanaian and you want to change Ghana, allow Mahama to come back. Why? President, you are clearing your ministers of corruption allegations. Are you serious? I was working. My work has spoiled and I have 5 children, 2 wives. I'm now suffering. So I have to vote for JM to come back and solve our problems. And then Bola Bakuro, up to now, is still on. They are still no work on it. We are suffering. Because Bamia and Akofo are allowing us, and we didn't help us.
He also addressed electorates at Wedana in the Pusiga constituency and Basionde in the Garitimpani constituency.
Going on.
You heard the interesting reactions from the supporters of partisan followers or supporters of John Dramani Mahama about what they make of the governance in the country so far and why they think the rescue mission should be on December 7th. I've been joined in studio. My panelist, Bernard Avle. Bernard is host of The Point of View, host of Citi Breakfast Show. Welcome, Bernard.
Thank you, Duke.
I've also been joined by head of features and articles, Citi FM, Citi TV, Selom Adon. Welcome.
Thank you, Duke.
Welcome, Council.
Thank you.
So let's, of course, we'll get into the issues that the candidates have actually been putting out there. We heard what President Akufo-Addo said. We heard what candidate Mahama actually said. But before that, we've been trying to draw some linkages between, the movements, the messaging, and whether there are any similarities or differences. Bernard, what have we found out so far?
Wow, thank you. It's very clear that this campaign is unlike previous campaigns in the sense that because of COVID-19, there's been a shorter time to spread the campaign over. Because, as you know, between March and around July, the country was literally not moving. So you notice that a lot of the campaign activities of the main political parties has been from August. So we charted the movements of both NDC and MPP, and it seems as if real campaigning started post-August. So that's not too strange in the sense that every election year you have the last 4 or so months of the year. But it's been very condensed because in the previous years you could have had big rallies. So you have what they call mini rallies, although the sizes keep increasing as we get closer. So that's the first thing we noticed, that there are a lot of smaller rallies. Now, so the first similarity is the places they visit. Now, we had a couple of maps we put up yesterday which tells you that from August to November, the candidates essentially visited the same places in terms of regions, right? It's just that the itineraries were not the same. Okay, so whereas Mahama will start from Volta, go to Oti, and then connect to Bono, come down to Western North, do Central, and come to Greater Accra. Nanado will do the opposite. So he would do Greater Accra, Central, Eastern, and then go to Ashanti and end up in Oti. So I don't know who plans that, but it's very neat. So that's the first thing we noticed, that they seem to go to the same places, right? They seem to go at different times. But the couple of things we also noticed. Mahama typically spends 5 to 6 days in a region. Nanado spends 2 days in a region. And I'll give you a few examples. So for example, Mahama, November 10, he begins a 6-day campaign tour of Ashanti region. Okay. Then you go to Greater Accra. In fact, Western region, he begins tour of Western region. That was also a 1-week tour of Western region. This is in October 18. Then you have the same Mahama, Greater Accra 5-day tour, October 26. So 5 days, 1 region per week, almost. Now look at Nanado. His campaign activities are, he does 5-day tour of Western and Central regions. That's 2 regions, 5 days, so 2 days, 3 days per region. Okay, this is August 17. And then Nanado then does another 8-day tour, but it's 3 regions. Okay, so he does 8-day tour. So he does 2-day tour of Western region. This is in August 19, after he did the one I just read. Then he does an 8-day tour of 3 regions combined. So which means that he's spending an average of 2 days in each region. So Mahama is spending a week, another is spending 2 or 3 days. Why? Now, as a sitting president, we have something called incumbency advantage. We also have something called incumbency disadvantage. What is incumbency advantage? Incumbency advantage means that because you are the one running government, there are certain things you do which will project you differently from the candidate opposition. So if you look at Nanado's itinerary, when the Eugene sends a press release, the president will commission completed projects. Then he would cut the sort for new projects. Then he will inspect ongoing projects. So those are 3 things. So if you notice, for a big window in October, he was doing a lot of sanitation, landfill, waste treatment plants in our 6 regions. So his itinerary is shorter because he has more things to launch. He can't campaign as much, in a sense that, so if you look at Mahama's itinerary, when they release the statement that he's gone to the central region, he goes to almost all the constituencies. So he spends a week in central region, he goes to every constituency. Nanado cannot do that because there's a bigger protocol around him. He's cutting a sod for a project, other people have to speak. So if he's cutting the sod for a waste treatment plant, Zoom Lion has to speak, sanitation minister has to speak, the chiefs have to speak. Now he has to then decide on whether to just campaign or also just talk about what he's done. So you notice that from August to October, a lot of his campaign was more commissioning projects, cutting sod for projects, and then inspecting ongoing projects. Whereas Mahama was just basically campaigning. You notice that now, a bit like the shackles have been removed a bit. So if you listen to what Samir Rafi brought to you, now he's not burdened too much with cutting. So he's less campaigning. So basically telling people to vote. So in that sense, Mahama has an advantage in having the chance to visit all constituencies and spend a longer time there, whilst Nanado can only do 2-3 days per constituency, and people rather come and meet him.
Has that also not to do with the campaign structure that has also been put in?
So when you look at Nanado, what we notice is that because he spends fewer days in the region, Bawumia goes after. So we notice that when he left the Western North region, 2-3 days later, Bawumia did a 2-day tour of Western North. So they've decided that because Nanado's itinerary from August was more commission, inspection, and then sword cutting, Bawumia will now go and do more detailed interactions. Okay, so I think they try to, and you see, once a president or vice president goes to a place, there are so many people who want to meet him. Now, Mahama's team has an advantage there in the sense that they can go to who they want and do many more whistle stops. So that's the other thing we notice. So we notice that Dr. Bawumia's itinerary, apart from the long time he spends in the northern parts, also does some sort of, it appears to us, some sort of mopping up. Okay. Sometimes he goes ahead, sometimes he goes after. And his projects that he launches are smaller, and he doesn't do as many project launches. So that's the other difference we notice. And then, of course, we notice the differences in what they say when they go to different places, and we can come to that. So you notice that when Nanado is in a specific place, Western region, he'll talk about cocoa, he'll talk about agro-processing. He goes to BA, he says the same thing. Mahama also tends to say the same things. He talks about cocoa, fertilizer issues. So there are general messages they use. Generally, each wants to cast the other as incompetent. For example, Nanado said, do you want to go back to the incompetent bad years of doomsday and corruption? Okay. Can you trust NDC with free SHS? Vote for me to continue for 4 more. Now, Mahama comes and says, well, Nanado is intolerant, he's divisive, and there is also corrupt. So they all use the word corrupt, but he also says there's failed promises because I started doing this project, they didn't finish, then they are starting something else. So that tends to be the general things. Then they go to specifics of sector issues. Again, if you look at every election in different parts of the world, there are different issues that matter to people. So when there are certain sound bites I hear, I will tell you what region you went to based on what I know. So it's a pretty tailored campaign on both sides, and I think it's very impressive. The fact that even though, I mean, for example, if a candidate visits 15 constituencies in Western region, you can't expect them to write 15 speeches, right? So which tells you that he's probably speaking a lot of notes where they have in their mind what to say, because I don't know how the team around Mahama will be writing a speech per district because he's visiting too many places. But it's a very interesting dynamic to notice how similar and different the campaigning is. And of course, Mahama's running mate then goes to a particularly different. Now, the difference is that whilst Bawumia is going to either mop up or introduce, the NDC running mate is introducing herself formally to a lot of people. So it's less of hardcore attacks, because her own style is to bring a different approach. So if you listen to the stories around her, she will usually go and the clips will welcome her and say, we like your kind of politics. She doesn't really punch as much because she's being positioned in a different light, which is another interesting thing we notice.
Before I come to the last question, does this suggest that this mode of campaigning, or this science that is developing around the campaigning, is meant to respond to the increasing sophisticated nature of the Ghanaian voter, or how the political machinery is getting sophisticated as our democracy grows, or the Fourth Republican dispensation grows?
I'm not sure I can make that conclusion, but what I can say is that there appears to be a lot more thinking into the clinical nature of what is said.
Okay.
Because clearly they would have to liaise with the executives on the ground.
Okay.
So they know fertilizer issues are here, agro-processing issues are there, landing beach issues here. They generally know those things. And of course, because the media is also becoming more professional, we amplify the issues. So a good journalist will go to maybe a place at a Ekumfi. President says specific things. He knows what the top 3 are. So he'll pick that, even though he'll say other things. So it's also a question of the way we amplify the issues. Okay, so I wouldn't say that they become more sophisticated. It's more a question of making the most of the limited resources they have, which is the way it is. So it's an interesting observation to see how they go about their campaigns.
Okay, I'm coming to you, Salam. On the issues that have dominated the discussions over the past 24 hours. First, Mahama speaking about the utility of the dams in the Upper East region, for instance, and I'm talking about doomsaw, corruption, and the issues that have generally been, mentioned or regurgitated over the period in this campaign, as well as what we are finding out with regards to the movement of the candidates on the campaign trail.
Well, very interesting, Duke. The campaign has been quite interesting. I think it's been largely issue-based as well. So the issues that have dominated the issues that have dominated the campaign in the last few days, I see infrastructure, I see education, and I don't see much of corruption, and perhaps there's a reason for that. Infrastructure, when the electioneering campaign started, we thought the NDC was going to anchor its campaign mainly on infrastructure. Then we saw the MPP trying to eat into that with that town hall meeting where they put out some 18,000 or 17,000 projects they say they are doing or they've done. And so that, brought some kind of competition into the infrastructure debate. Before, everybody thought the NDC was leading in terms of infrastructure. People still think though, but that is debatable. So after that Baumia incident, some of us were thinking that why don't you wait when you go and launch a manifesto, then you do that. But that was for a purpose. It was to put that one out there so that people debate around it, people compare records, etc. They go launch their manifesto, said a few other things, and now it's an issue of comparing records. So you hear each of the candidates, Mahama and Akufo-Addo, both talking about let's compare records or vote for me based on what I've done for you. So you hear Mahama say this, you hear Akufo-Addo at another place also saying the same thing. So you wonder, you ask yourself, it appears the two guys have so much confidence in their record, and that gives the voter a lot to think about and a lot to choose from. So yes, infrastructure is key. Free SHS has been key. And so when you look at what Mahama has said in the last few days, I think it was in Upper West, and he made reference to the one district, one village, one dam. He called it one village, one pond. If you recall, one village, one dam was such a huge issue in the northern part of the country. They said every village in that part of the country was going to have a dam. In fact, the definition of what a dam is or was, came up for discussion, whether it was a dugout or a proper dam. Eventually it appeared that, of course, people think a dam is a dam. The MPP side will say no, it couldn't have been a dam as we know, so it's a dugout, but you needed a way to convey the message to the people. So if you said dam, they kind of understand or understood what you meant. Now Mahama goes to the place and tells the people that this was what you were promised. You were promised a dam, but these are ponds. Ponds that, he even said ducks play in there. So ponds that you see ducks playing. The whole attempt is to discredit what your opponent has done and try to position yourself as a better alternative, as a person who tries to deliver on campaign promises. He said at another place, I think almost the same place, that everything in that side of the country was done by the NDC. So every major development project or activity in the area has been done by the NDC, which meant that the NDC, in his view, stood in a better place in terms of records comparison.
But is that not a stretch, though, to say that everything that has been done,
of course, and I took issue with Akufo-Addo yesterday for saying that Volta region has seen zero development, with the NDC. I said that wasn't accurate. That's not true. So, and I'm amenable to somebody saying that a lot of the things here have been done by this party. That's better. Though it's debate about that's politics. So Mahama tried to do a thing like that. It's not true that everything in the area has been done by the NDC. I don't think so. He made mention of roads, etc. If you talk to the MPP, they will also go to the infrastructure tracker and bring out hundreds of projects that the area is perhaps benefiting from. But the point I'm making is they will try to discredit their opponents so they look better. The NDC also has been trying to discredit the free SHS, the double track. When I come, I will, what's the name? I will review it and I'll stop double track in the first year. The MPP will say, no, you don't understand what you're saying. We heard Educhim today on the breakfast show. We don't know what you are talking about. It's because you don't understand it. And if you stop the double track in your first year, you destroy the whole program. So everybody's trying to put himself in a position to be credible to the electorate or to the voter. And for me, that is quite a difficult position the voter is put in, because they are both touting their records. And mind you, both of them have tasted power for 4 years. And so it's a blow by blow comparison of records. And each of the candidates trying to position himself as a better alternative. I mean, interesting that today the president is actually commissioning the first phase of the Obiche-Bilambi cycle. I think 4 years ago, around the same time, we've seen a similar thing at the Dubai place, and I call the Dubai
Circle Dubai. It was November 2016, yes. I think.
So similar, just around the same time 4 years ago. So now we're seeing a similar thing at the other side of town. I mean, the Obiche-Bilambi cycle. I don't know how that's going to play out. I don't know how the fanfare around the Obiche-Bilambi circle is going to be. I don't know whether it's going to become like Dubai, where in the night people will drive to the place to see how the place looks like, etc. But I mean, I thought that was just interesting, and I needed to mention it.
Yeah, but the Ben's just taking us through what we found in terms of the movement in the plan. The same question I asked: does this reveal or suggest to us that increasingly the politicians are getting as sophisticated as the voter is getting in terms of messaging and in terms of even how to approach the issues going into elections?
Well, I think we are about 28 years or so into our democratic experiment. I don't think we need to keep doing the same things we've been doing I mean, the same things we did in 92, 96. We need to improve. Education, people are getting more educated, people are getting more sophisticated, people are getting more aware and more exposed. People are getting to see what is done elsewhere, which is better. Like I said before, this election appears to be, it appears that a lot of the matters are being fought on the issues. So that is great. It is, I mean, in normal communications or PR, or in marketing, you don't sell the same message to everybody. So for example, Mahama goes to the Bono area and he's talking about a cashew board, because that is where cashew farming is. So you can't go and tell people in that region that you are going to work on premixed fuel. That will apply to people in the coastal area. So I think what they are doing now is to try to target their messages properly. Nanado is in power, so his messaging is a bit different, because he just has to tell you that I've done ABC for you. I'm promising to do XYZ, and I can only do the XYZ if you vote me back into power. So form more for Nana. Quite a simple message. But he has to back that with a lot of evidence in terms of the things he has done. So two different styles. Mahama has to quickly tell them what he did for them, tell them what their need is, and what the present government is not doing well in respect of their needs. And then when he comes, or if he comes, he has identified the needs, so he will do better. So I think that is, in terms of the movement, I don't know if it was planned, but it appears, I think it's coincidental. And the nature of the campaigning. So Bawumia, for example, is known. Bawumia is a 360 politician. So Bawumia needs no introduction. He's been vice president. He's been on the ticket for 3 other times. So he's a known commodity. So Bawumia can hold his own wherever he goes. I think Mahama has a lot more to do, because I mean, and the president, the advantage of incumbency, though there are disadvantages as well. Advantage of incumbency, when it's going to places, everything, the system has must stand and wait for him. The DCs, he has a network on the ground, the DCs, etc., plus the party structure. Mahama only has the party structure. And all those things, national security, there's a way those things work to your advantage, visibility, etc. It helps you. Mahama, on the other hand, has to do more because he is not in government. He has some baggage to deal with. His running mate is fresh. You know, people see that as a bright spot in the campaign. But she also has to move. But I think the thinking is that no matter what she does, Mahama must try and go around to mop her because the Mahama effect is different from the Professor Nana Opoku effect. A lot of people don't even know her, though you know she's been described as a bright spot, and rightly so. Mahama will have to go back to the place and let the people see him and generate the excitement that will drive people out to vote. And Mahama attacks the issue in a certain manner. He is on the front line, so he's able to take on Akufo-Addo in a certain way. Professor Jane Nana Opoku style is a bit different. She's trying to deal with the soft issues. She's trying to speak to the hearts of the people. She's trying to tell people that she's bringing a new kind of politics. She doesn't insult. I mean, I'm not saying Mahama or Akufo-Addo insults, but her approach is just different. The way she deals with issues, very, very different. And maybe we are getting used to we are trying to get used to that system. But I think essentially Mahama and his team will feel that they will have to do a mop-up. So after she introduces herself to the people, she will talk to them. Mahama will go and then talk further to drive home the issues. I think that is the difference between the two. So about the messaging, I mean, basically have been targeted depending on where they go.
But does this not have the tendency to confuse the voter about the issues that matter?
No, I don't think so. There are 16 regions now, and it's very clear that there's a map of where you have to go. So initially, when they were doing 10 regions, we didn't see that they would typically break the Western into Western, North, and Western, because the issues are different. We didn't know that OT and Volta had different issues. Now we know. Even Savannah, Northern, and Northeast are different. So now we see a couple of things. Incumbency has both advantage and disadvantage. I think Nanado's advantage is that people, so this is my view, whatever the campaign people say, the memory and their people's realities determine how they react to it. Okay, so President Akufo-Addo's advantage is that he's launching something and telling you, I'll continue if you vote for me. So it's very easy for people to see that. Mahama has two problems. He has to first tell you that Nanado didn't do what he said he would do, and now remind you of what he did 4 years ago. Okay, and he lost by a big margin. So his job is more difficult. Okay, and Akufo-Addo's job is easier in the sense that once he launches a project and tells you, I've done phase 1, I've just cut the sword for this hospital. If you retain me, I'll continue. That tends to work with certain kinds of voters than to simply say, and which is why he's basically also saying that if you vote for Mahama, so he's doing both. If you vote for Mahama, he'll stop it. That's why he's talking about free SHS, you can't trust him and all of these things. So he's put something in front of you and he's telling you that if you want me to continue, do it. Mahama is basically also saying that, look at the big thing he promised you. He hasn't done what he said he's doing. And I will come and do the right thing. So I think Mahama's work is that in a sense. But Mahama's advantage is that while Nanado can do only 2 days in a place, because of all the logistical issues, which can be an advantage in the sense that he has more visibility, Mahama is going to more places because he doesn't have the whole, so the same organizational structure, DCs and things that make it easier for the president also slow him down. So Mahama can do so many stops at so many different places. But the truth is that I don't even think that's the issue. The issue is that the people listening to him, what is their reality? Okay, and the other point is that the people listening is not random people. Most people who go for political rallies are either supporters or sympathizers. Very rarely do you have somebody who's just sitting somewhere and saying, I just want to go and hear what Mahama will say. It's not, it doesn't work like that.
Some people just to go and see who
Yes, but I'm saying that usually that's why they tailor the message. So they would typically, for example, the chiefs, if you like look at even the Sefi area, they don't visit the same chiefs because they know that this chief has a certain affinity and a history which helps us. So once the chief comes, it's an endorsement, so we'll also come in there. So what I'm saying is that usually they are preaching to the converted already, which is why we hear lots of sloganeering and things around attacks because they know that the people listening to them are their people. Okay, of course the media then amplifies it and the rest of the public hear it. You don't just go to a place randomly and say, let me set up a rally and just talk to anybody. It doesn't happen like that, which is why you're seeing the kind of messages they say. So for me, it's still a question of how do you get the undecided 15 or 20% who may have been disappointed with NDC but may also feel that MPP didn't do as much as they wanted, which is where I am not seeing too much of, because I tend to see a lot of messaging to reinforce. So you see, there are a couple of things. When you speak to your people, you remind, you reinforce, you reassure. Okay? But when you speak to a new person, you create awareness, you explain, you bring credibility. Okay, so it's two things. If I'm speaking, it's like an advertiser. If I'm selling to somebody who's already a customer, I remind them, I reassure them, I build a relationship with them, and then I tell them I'll do more. But if I have somebody I haven't met yet, I have to break the awareness. She has to know who I am. She has to deal with awareness creation. After she deals with awareness creation, people have to believe what she's saying. No, in fact, after awareness creation, you have to have understanding. Do you even know what she's talking about? Do you believe her? Then will you vote for her? So she has 4 barriers, all right? Because she's new. Awareness, understanding, belief, credibility. But the incumbent doesn't have that. All he's doing is basically doing remind, reassure, reinforce. So it's different, which is why Mahama becomes important for NDC. He's basically doing 2 things. He's basically reminding the people of what he did before them, and also now trying to resell himself to. But NPP says this guy is old wadi. What's he coming to do new? Okay, so there's a science behind the messaging of the 2 political parties, where NPP keeps attacking Mahama. Why? Because they're saying that this guy has nothing new to offer, so reject him. Okay, so it's a very interesting dynamic we are watching there, and I'm sure when you go around the campaigns and you hear what they say, you cannot put it in context, which is why you keep hearing the things you are hearing, because there are different problems that they are facing as candidates.
Okay, we'll be back to further discuss the matters relating to the movement around the campaign this year on the trail for garnering of votes ahead of the December 7th, 2020 polls. We'll take a break here. When I come back, we'll discuss the other issues. Stay with us. This is Voters Diary.
It is Christmas. What do you want for Christmas? A new car, a vacation, or expand your business? Make your wish and have it come true in the 100 days of Christmas with a Republic Bank Christmas loan. The Republic Christmas loan is quick, easy, and so affordable with super fast turnaround time. Come into any of our branches nationwide. Call or WhatsApp 055-654-3212 or apply online via republicghana.com. Remember, wear your nose mask, stay safe. Republic Bank, we are the one for you.
Welcome back. This is the Elections Bureau. This is the Voters Diary. I still have in studio Bernard Avle and Selom Adonu. We're discussing the movements, trying to draw some linkages and make some informed, guesses or decisions, and as well as get understanding to share with you with regards to the movement of these candidates, President Akufo-Addo and candidate John Dramani Mahama on the campaign trail with just some 13 days to go for election 2020 December 7th. Is that date that, for sure, if you have not already noted it down, should we want to put down on your calendar, especially as we're trying to get more people out there to exercise their franchise. A couple of messages you sent in so far. Phrase Senanu from Tema says, yesterday's point of view was very interesting with Professor Margaret Kweku. Did I hear Mr. Peter Mewu says we'll be making history by winning Hohoi constituency? Well, he'll make history by losing Woofley. Bantama equals MPP, Hohoi equals NDC. That's interesting. Humble Lion from Nabari says, good afternoon to you, host, and your panel for the good work you are doing for Mother Ghana. My contribution to your program today is to advise my fellow Zongo residents, especially the youth, to resist being used by politicians to cause mayhem. Citi from Brekum says, former President Mahama is just countering what President Akufo-Addo has done in just 4 years. Mahama should propagate with evidence what he started and completed during his term of office and stop the accusations. Why is Nana Addo not campaigning about corruption this time? We are watching. That's from Mohammed Mankranso. We're going to the phone lines now and speak to our presidential correspondent who's embedded with the team that is campaigning with the president. Hello, good afternoon, Sammy.
Good afternoon, you.
Can you bring us up to speed with what is happening? You know, the president began his Greater Accra tour today. Where has he been? Which places has he gone to, and what's the message he's been putting out there so far?
Okay, good afternoon. The president began the day one of his tour, the Greater Accra region, today with the commission of the Obiche-Bilamte interchange, where he touted his achievements as far as road infrastructure is concerned, and says that for the first time in the history of Ghana, this is the first government that is constructing 5 interchanges simultaneously across the country. He listed these interchanges which are currently underway. He talks about the Obiche-Bilamte interchange. He spoke about the one which is underway at Mingwa. He spoke about the Pokwasi one, which he said is 80% complete, and probably by close of this week it will be open to traffic. He also spoke about the one happening in Tamale, and also spoke about what is happening also in Accra, and said that this is the first time in the history of Ghana that 5 interchanges are being constructed simultaneously across the country by any government. From there, he moved to the Kanishi market, where he addressed the market women and traders as well as buyers who come in there to buy or sell their wares. Now, the message there was simple. He talked about the free SHS policy and told the market women that a number of their kids are benefiting from this particular policy, and that if they should allow any other government aside the NPP to come in, this particular policy will be scrapped, and that it means then that their children will not have the opportunity to go to school for free again as it is happening. He also spoke about how caring and thinking this government is, to the extent that when this whole COVID came about, the pandemic, government made available some loans to support traders who have been hit with regards to this particular coronavirus pandemic, and so that this is the thinking of a government, and that's a caring government. And so if there's a need to maintain him, more of these things are going to happen in the country. From there, he moved to the cocoa market, where he interacted with the spare parts dealers who had already gathered waiting for him, because there was an announcement that the president was coming. So they had masked up at the main road, the main front of the Dakuma Kokope Road, waiting for the president to address them. He told them that indeed, in the last 4 years, these are the things he has done. He's bought free SHS, he's bought 1 district, 1 factory, 1 village, 1 dam, massive development as far as infrastructure across the country is concerned. And so if you look at his record, what he's done just under 4 years, and retain him and the member of parliament for the area come the December polls. This particular response was, taken by the spare parts dealers there, who pledged unflinching support for Nana Akufo-Addo, the MPP, and promised to vote for him come December. From there, he moved to the Beka market, the Nyasoto market, the Santa Maria market. As we speak now, we are at Ofanko, where he's expected to address a rally and meet the chiefs and people of this particular area, and also have an interaction with them. We'll continue the campaign, God willing, tomorrow in the Greater Accra region.
Okay, but many have said, and based on the numbers, even just the sheer number of the voters on the roll in the Greater Accra region, and many have said that the Greater Accra region, apart from it being a swing region historically, would have a greater say in terms of who win the presidency. Moving around with the team, the president, and of course interacting with party supporters and others who come, is there a sense that you get that indeed, a certain level of seriousness or even a different approach is being attached to the campaign of the president, different from the other regions that we've seen, at least in the recent past?
For the Greater Accra region, politically, it is understood that any political party that wins the Greater Accra region wins the general election, as many people have said. So if you're in the know, this is about the third time the president is campaigning in the Greater Accra region. He's doing 2 days in the region, today and tomorrow, and then go to other regions, and then come back and do 3 days of the Greater Accra region before the election. So in total, he's spending 5 days in the Greater Accra region before the election of December, because they know that statistically, if you win the Greater Accra region, you are poised to win the election. So they are leaving, no stone unturned as far as the Greater Accra is concerned. They want to touch every corner, meet every person, visit all the constituencies in the Greater Accra region, and ensure that the party wins the region as they did in 2016 elections.
Thank you very much, Sammy. We'll be coming to you for further updates as the day moves on. So, Ben, at the point about reinforcement, about the Greater Accra region.
So he has his point is he commissions a project, Obechebi Lamte project, and then he visits the markets. These are the places around which will benefit from the project, and then he's telling them free SHS, one district, one factory. Don't vote for somebody else, come and spoil it. So he's reminding, reassuring, also warning about the alternative. They say alternative is scary because you see, if Mahama didn't have a record, then they couldn't have attacked this record. If he was just a fresh candidate, they would have just basically said, just look at what we are doing. You don't know what these people are doing, a bird in hand, but now it's double. If you want us to continue what we are doing, then vote for us. Otherwise, Mahama will come and destroy it. So that's the kind of messaging you keep hearing around. So again, but it's interesting because it looks like the time he's spending in Accra is going to be more now, because it was 2-3 days doing regions. Now he's going to do 5 days because we are getting closer. And as Sami said rightly, Greater Accra has become, I think, the most important region in this election because of all the regions that tend to sway between one party and another in total. This region is having 3.5 million voters, even much more than Ashanti, almost 500,000 voters more than Ashanti region. Okay, if you think about Western region, Upper East region, and these other regions, the populations don't even match Greater Accra. There are 10 constituencies there are 20 constituencies in Ghana, actually no, 32 with more than 100,000 voters, 32 constituencies. 18 of them are in Greater Accra region. Oh. Think about it, 32 constituencies in Ghana with more than 100,000 voters. More than half are in Greater Accra region, and a lot of them are where he went to. So he's talking about Abeka Market, that's Okankwe Central. He's talking about Kokompe Market, Dakuman, Ablekuma North, Santa Maria, that's Anyaso to more than 100,000. Ofanko, Anyaso to, no, Ofanko is Trobu, more than 100,000. So he launched Kaneshi Interchange. This is Ablekuma Central, more than 100,000. Kaneshi Market, Okankwe South. Oh. So you are talking about large populations of voters. So I'm not surprised he's going to come back. And I can bet you my last person that between today and December 7, Mahama will do like 3 days in Greater Accra. Obviously. Yeah. He's going to come back to Greater Accra.
That actually is...
I haven't seen that, but I can bet you he will come back to this region and probably end this campaign tour in the region.
Selo.
Yeah, of course. Greater Accra is huge. So, you don't need to spend a lot of time in other parts of the country, where the votes are not many. It's a game of numbers. So in fact, the whole of the upper west or upper east, just put 2 or 3 of these big Greater Accra constituencies together and they wipe out everything. And so you may want to focus on those areas, especially areas that you think are good grounds for you. So that's why I wasn't surprised when Mahama was doing the Greater Accra tour. He spent quite some time at the Bonkatamanso area. That's Afoteagbo's place, and that has been an NDC place since. He tried to go to the Medina area, and he did quite some things there. The Medina is one of those biggest constituencies.
Which they're trying to reclaim.
They feel that the 2016 was an aberration, and that when they put their feet down properly, they can reclaim that. That's such a huge place. I don't know what Boniface is doing there, but I think the young man, what's the name? Sosu, who gave him a good run for his money. I've walked around the place. I've heard people talk. It's still divided. It's not a clear-cut thing. It could go to anybody, but it appears that the energy, I don't see the energy appears to be with somebody else, but the NDC thinks that they can reclaim that constituency. So the game really is in the Greater Accra region. Come here, focus on certain key areas you think you can get more votes, campaign very hard, get your votes out, and if you can suppress the votes in your opponent's quarters and ensure that you win. Greater Accra is key, very, very key. So anybody who does so well in Greater Accra, eventually...
But what makes Greater Accra tricky is that of the 18 constituencies with more than 100,000 votes, about 2/3 of them are within the same peri-urban area. What that means is that the voter increases may change the voting dynamic in a way we have never seen. Okay? So you can say about 1/3 of the constituencies are constituencies that are called toss-up constituencies. Medina and Adenta are not anybody's stronghold. Amasaman is NDC, but it's very close. Unlike places like Trobo or Dome Kwabenya, which is pure NPP, Amasaman, which is NDC, a lot of these constituencies, which have become bigger now, don't have a decided favorite. Okay, so I expect the candidates to spend a lot of time in a place like Amasaman, Adenta, Madina, even Punkatamanso.
Because the likelihood of having the undecided in this area.
Yes, because what happens is that when it was a smaller constituency, we were able to tell the trend. But if you have a 50% increase in voter population in a place, okay, you can't use just the past election to say this is this person's stronghold. And you're also seeing that the constituencies have moved. So for example, in these large constituencies, a lot of them are in newly developing areas. So you're going to see a lot of activity in Madina, Adenta, Amasaman. You are going to see a lot of activity in Bunkatamanso, to an extent, Wejak Bawe, Botiano. These places, because there are new developments there. So if you look at the places Nanado went to, these are mostly MPP areas. But expect him to go to these outskirts a bit more, because there are so many votes up for grabs there, and there's no clear favorite in these areas, which is why they become very key in this election. All right, let's go on to the line now, speak to Nia Ikwe, who's also embedded with the team on the ground in the Upper East region currently, if the itinerary has not changed. President John Dramani Mahama, candidate of the NDC. Hello, Ikwe, welcome.
Hello, dude.
Yeah, so Nia Ikwe, can you tell us where is the candidate of the NDC currently, and what has he been telling the people who've been gathering to listen to him at the mini rallies that have actually been underway so far?
Yes, I'm currently at Sirigu in the Upper East region with the leader of the NDC, John Dramani Mahama, within the Chana constituency. And the former president has been challenging the elections to vote for the NDC in the upcoming elections so that their roles can be fixed for them. And he's also been reiterated that within his first year of administration, that if he voted for in the 2016 elections, he's going to abolish the double track system within the pre-senior high school policy. And then also he says that his government, that if he wins power in the 2016 elections, his government will see to the establishment of farmers' mechanization centers within the districts across the country. And this farmers' mechanization centers will have farming equipment stocked within them, and then any farmer at all can register at the farmers' mechanization center for any equipment that will be needed for farming activities, so that after the season you will be required to pay just a little amount of what would have been charged ordinarily for the hiring of these equipment. So at the end of the season, you pay something that is. These are some of the things that the former president, John Dramani Mahama, has been reiterating to electors to seek for their votes in the upcoming elections.
Are there any places left on his itinerary by way of whistle stops? What more is he going to be doing? What's candidate Mahama going to be doing for the rest of the day after Chana Paga? Is there any indication there are other constituencies that
he will be heading to Nagrongo, and then Bunsa North, and then Bunsa South, and Kubori also. So these are areas that are left for the day for the leader of the NDC, John Dramani Mahama, to solve.
Okay, thank you very much, Nia Ikwe, and stay safe, keep your head up on the ground. We would be coming back to you subsequently. All right, so Bernard, same issues, farmer mechanization is repeated or mentioned again, the issue of abolition of the double track system, education, agriculture, matters that matter to the people on the ground in these areas.
Yeah, and what is happening is that so we are not discounting traditional strongholds. So Ashanti and Eastern, very strong for MPP. Northern, Upper East, Upper West Volta, strong for NDC. So this reinforcement message is important. But if you look at the time they spend in their strongholds, they tend to spend more time in the places they want to get additional votes. So Mahama hasn't done as much Upper East and Upper West as he's done Western, Central, Bono East, Bono Ahafo, Eastern and Ashanti, right? So there's a method to the madness. Same with Akufo-Addo. He does a few Ashanti and Eastern, but he's really doing a lot of the places where he wants to get the votes. Because when you add Eastern and Ashanti, and then you take, in fact, Eastern and Ashanti alone can win you an election. Okay, but NDC, of course, tries to close the gap there. So usually the country is split between Eastern and Ashanti for MPP, Northern, Upper East, Upper West, and Volta for NDC. Then you are fighting for BA, Western, Greater Accra, and Central. This is what tends to typically happen. But because of Greater Accra's inordinate size, and the margins, because the elections are about margins. We are first past the post. We are not an electoral college system. So the Greater Accra has become the crown jewel in this 2020 election, and we are going to see a lot of messaging around the Greater Accra. And what is interesting is that there's so much diversity in these places. Okay, it's not like when you go to Western North and speak about cocoa or roads. If you go to Amasaman, what are you going to say, and how different would that be from when you go to Ponkatamanso? Versus if you go to, say, Adenta or Medina. It depends on which group you are meeting. So it's more complicated, which Sami told you that even in Accra, Akufo-Addo changed his messaging a few times. So he went to Kaneshi Market, talked about free SHS, then he went to Kokompe, spoke about something else, then he went to Anya Market. Because the Accra's density and diversity makes it a more difficult task of reaching the various groups. Taxi drivers are talking about this. Kokompe people say, allow us to import things for free. Meanwhile, people, you are going. So if you go to Central Region and say 1D, 1F, I want to promise you that you can manufacture something here. Okay, but importers in Accra say open the border so we can import. It's very complicated.
So you have the last word on the discussions.
Well, interesting race it is. I realized something yesterday from the newspapers and from media interviews. You know, I think the last 2 weeks the MPP has been trying to not say it expressly that they are on the ground, they are looking better, and a few others too have said that, and that gives room for complacency. Okay. So if you realize the talk among certain people in the party has changed. Upon Nkrumah says that it's dangerous to think that we won already. That is sending a message to the people that the Agbena Kanka could be dangerous at this time. So Freddie Blay, party chairman, goes around and he says that if we sleep, we slip. You know, meaning that if we think we've won and so we relax, you know, we will lose. So I think that is the message that maybe they need to be drumming into the ears of their people more. The NDC, many have said that, you know, they are fighting from a disadvantageous position. That could be motivational. That could be good for them because they know they are the underdog. So they have to fight. And that mentality is good to somebody who thinks, or to somebody who kind of is kind of written off, so that whilst people think that, you know, you have no room to do well, you are pushing, and the others who think they are winning will sleep, and then you leapfrog. I think it's an interesting thing. Let's see how it goes.
Let's bring in some of your messages now as we wrap up. Beginning with Kweku from La Paz says, the MPP are only good at sloganeering. They did nothing for the Volta region. The president has failed Voltarians big time. Nyoja Bright from Sunyani says, President Akufo-Addo came to cut saw twice for a road that was already under construction between Nkwanta and Pasa section of the Eastern Corridor Road, but the contractors have taken the equipment away. Foga from Aplau says, there is enough reason why the people of Angloga, Keta and Aplau stretch should soundly reject MPP and Nanado. This one from Joe Eskin from Lagos, Nigeria says, I'm watching the crew live from Lagos. I pray for Ghana. There will be continued progress and development in all sectors of our economy. I ask for the supply of wisdom to know and to do what's required for the nation to experience growth and development according to your good interest. Ghana first before NPP and NDC. Joe Eskin from Lagos, Nigeria. Emmanuel Tardy says, did I hear your reporter mention Takoradi interchange? Come and see what is happening here. Eddie from Koforidua says, I think what Bernardino is saying is true, but what is making things easier for Akufo-Addo is the free SHS he's been able to implement, the constant promise from Mahama to do away with the double track system. In fact, Mahama is really helping Akufo-Addo to sell his message and more. Sir Kebis from New Edubiasi Zongo says, ask the EC, when are they going to pay the, well, this is a matter that actually would have to get the EC to respond as regards to the people who helped the EC with their registration, whether they've been paid or not. But that's how we would wrap up today's edition of Voters Diary. My name is Mensah Opoku. I'm sitting for our regular host Vivian Kailoko. I had in the studio Bernardino Avle, host of the Citi Breakfast Show, host of The Point of View, and Selo Madonu, head of features and articles here at Citi FM and Citi TV. Keep watching Citi TV for the very best in program, especially as the election inches closer and closer by the day.
Voter's Diary is sponsored by Samsung. Samsung, inspire the world, create the future.
This is the Citi Countdown.
Hello, what a beautiful day to come your way with yet another exciting episode of your favorite music chat show in the country. This is the Citi Countdown. We couldn't bring you a fresh episode last week because unfortunately, most of you know we lost the son of the land, and we had to respect the legacy of this fallen soldier who happened to be the first president of the Fourth Republic, right? But we are back, and I hope you guys didn't miss me too much, but I miss you guys, wow. No doubt about it, I miss you guys, wow, Charlie. And I'm sorry, I will not do that again. Forgive me, please. Okay, now if this is your first time tuning in into the show, what we do here is simple and simple and simple and simple. Very, very, very simple. We rank the hardest songs in Ghana based on their frequency of airplay. However, that's not all. But before I tell you on what more to expect on the show, Kojo took us home last week or last 2 weeks with their no dollar record as they maintained their #1 spot for guess what? 6 weeks. Charlie, let me remind you of how they did it.
Just killed him. No, yeah.
Medasi.
They call you today. Jam rhythm. Yeah. Rockstar. DJ Camila, drop the song, make we dance. Oh, DJ Camila, drop the song, make we dance. Yeah. Where the party there today? Hey mama, hey I have a same. Shake your body, man, you're gonna. Cause hey mama, hey I have a same. So where the party there today? Hey mama, hey I have a same. Shake your body, man, you're gonna.
We officially open the show and we are about to have a party. Yep, Charlie. In the meantime, I do remember to watch out for the segments like Spotlight, Discovery of the Week, Rumor Has It, and African Music Hits as we count down the top 10 songs in GH. Alright, now, the show of course is interactive, so if you got anything to say about the rankings of the songs, you want to send out a shout out maybe, you can do so with the hashtag Citi Countdown. Easy does it, okay? And then you can reach out to me at Olele Salvador. Yep. But my name, of course, is Emmanuel Sapon, your regular host, and we are gonna take a quick break. When we come back, the Citi Countdown begins.
On the 7th of December, you will be going to the polls to elect a member of parliament. How well do you know your constituency?
We take a visit to the Awutu Senya East constituency of the Central region. We are coming to you from the Inshayaso constituency in the Ashanti region. I'm still in the Aswase constituency.
Political parties will be campaigning for your vote.
We have done almost about 80 to 90 different projects across the country.
There is no single school under any electoral area that has not seen the development of Honorable Muntaka.
But as a constituent, what will inform your choice of a candidate to represent you in Parliament?
My party is my community. What program are you bringing in to solve the problem of my community?
Be involved in what concerns you. My name is Fremedu Nyame. Join me on The Constituency for all you need to know concerning your socio-economic development. The Constituency airs on Citi TV Mondays to Thursdays at 5:30 p.m.
This is the Citi Countdown.
Welcome back. If you're ready, I am ready. I've been ever ready, and I can't wait to get things started. So, to kick things off, at number 10 this week is Mr. Drew. Yep, produced by MOG. He says, if you're feeling the boy, then you should let him know.
Number 10.
I will lie in care for mommy. Hey, fashion me. Hey, you should let me know. See, this song, Mr. Drew actually tweeted the last time that people pretend as though this song isn't a banger. But low-key, they love it. But I think the question I want to ask is, at what point does a song become a banger? Yeah? What are the factors that contribute to a song being a banger? Can a song be loved and still not be a banger? This one, what's the Citi Countdown paper? Section B, question 1. Answer all questions, 30 marks. Send your answers to me, to my handle, right? At Olele Salvador, the hashtag Citi Countdown. Let me read, your take on this one. Yeah? And by the way, Mr. Drew is actually going to drop some new music soon. Yeah? So all your visual arts students or visual arts fans of Mr. Drew should watch out. All right, okay. Now, talking about dropping places, last week these young legends dropped a place. All right, and then this week they have dropped 2 places. I hate to say this, but I love them anyways. It's Darko Vibes and Kim Promise with In a Song at number 9.
Number 9.